Yeah, so this originally, Rescue 2000 began in Atlanta, Georgia. And of course, obviously 2000.
So we grew up with homeless people our whole
Yeah.
lives. Every Saturday night, my dad would just take us to the streets. Why I dedicate my life to helping people is because being homeless for those 2 years, my dad never stopped going to the streets and feeding other homeless people. So I saw with my own eyes a homeless man continue to help other homeless people. And that's when it really hit me and I knew, okay, you as a man, you do things because it's your duty.
It don't matter what, it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, you can make an impact in this world, and you can be the last, missing piece to someone else's puzzle.
Scoopy gang, welcome to the new episode. I'm your host TJ, and we have Rescue 2000, Chris and Elias. And these boys are doing some amazing work in Bali and all over the world. I feel what you guys did in Turkey, it was so amazing. I only known a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Would you care to tell us how the journey started? What was the emotions are you guys going through when you heard
So,
this?
like, to provide a little bit more context, it was only my brother that went to Turkey.
Okay.
The rest of the team stayed here in Bali because we had other projects going on at the same time.
Okay.
So, in regards to Turkey, this man's he's got to spill the beans for you.
Yeah, so Rescue has been working in Bali for the past 3 years, right when COVID started. The way it kind of started is, when the borders shut down, I saw that many local people who worked in hospitality, they lost their jobs, and they had to return to their villages. And, it was a sad, as nice and peaceful as Bali was during COVID, because, there was not many people. It was sad to see that many local people lost their jobs, and you would hear all sorts of stories, people who had a decent job working in a hostel or in a hotel or in a resort. Next thing you know, their life changed all of a sudden, and they're back working in the farm, back in their villages. And once I saw that reality, I was like, I want to help these people out, and I was able to buy 5 food care packages, and I think they call it sembako.
Okay.
I still don't know how to say it.
Sambako.
Yeah,
Sambako, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I gave it to 5 families around the area where I was staying in Puranan, that 5 families who I knew lost their job. I made a video about it on Instagram, and it kind of blew up. Money started coming in, and 3 years since then, money has not stopped coming in, and we have been growing little by little, and it's just been amazing to see being backed up by my friends and peers and the community. To answer your question about Turkey, so we do food drops almost every month with Rescue, and we're also really passionate about making dreams come true for people and lifting families out of poverty. And the way we do that usually is that we build people houses. If they don't have a bike for transportation, we get them bikes. We just really want to completely change the life of families. That is what we love to do at Rescue. And believe it or not, sometimes, we make reels. It's a 7-second video, but there's so much that goes behind that 15-second video.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like, the shorts or the reels that you post on Instagram, there's a whole entire conversation that happens.
Yeah.
And that's the similar thing that happens with us. We understand how the algorithm works, and for some reason it favors 15-second videos, 7-second videos, and we make a video, and it's beautiful to see that people share it, people like it, people message us, send us support, but there's so much that goes behind.
For sure, 100%. I agree with it, because mostly the emotions, and you working towards and gathering anything you need and money, and putting your hours, there's and sweat, everything, it just goes everything, and videos never justify the work you put in.
Exactly. And so, as I was saying, we do food drops every month. So we go to different villages all around Bali. We work with local charities because they have a good mapping of the island. They, it's their home, so they know which areas are have families that are struggling. And for us, consistency is important, and we're out there every month. We're trying to build a house for a family every month or so. And when I saw the news of what happened in Turkey, to be honest, it was him who told me, yo, we should go to Turkey.
And the first thing, for some reason, I don't know, I was on my phone and, I saw this Turkey stuff happening, and I remember watching a video. It was like a traveling tip. It was like, do you want to know when you have like the cheapest flights? It's like right after a natural disaster. So like for me, I thought about that, and I went ahead and looked for Turkey, like flights to Turkey.
Yeah.
And I saw they were like 500 one way.
Yeah.
And so I immediately I text my brother. I'm like, yo, flights to Turkey are $500. And we've been talking throughout the year, like we want to make it out to like the Middle East. Like we want to make it out to like Europe and a different country. And when I sent him that text message, my brother was like, book it. Like
It's time to go, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it didn't go like that exactly. Like when he first texted me, he's like, "Hey, flights to Turkey are $500," and I thought about it, but then honestly, I was like, "I'm comfortable here, you know." Like,
Isn't $500 expensive? First of all, you know.
But yeah, so when he sends me that message, you know, initially I'm thinking, yo, I'm comfortable here in Bali. I'm comfortable here in Bali. You know, I have it all to some extent, you know, like I have my charity here. We're helping people every month. I'm living decently. You know, I get to eat at all these nice restaurants. Entertainment is very accessible. I'm like, I got it. Like I'm in such a comfort zone. And the reason why I told you earlier on that Turkey changed my life, because I did not know I was in that comfort zone.
Yeah.
I did not know the effect that COVID had on me. You know, when the whole world shut down and for 2 years, we all lived a life that it's not normal. You know, like you are supposed to go out there and work, make money, provide for your family, you know, but what happened all around the world? We all got stripped away from our jobs. You know, you were forced to stay in your house, and the government was giving you money.
Yeah.
You know, so
only
like
in the U.S.
Stimulus.
Only in the U.S.
Okay, yeah, true. Only, yeah, and or people making thousands of dollars buying a meme coin and becoming rich, you know? Yeah. So like for 2 years, I feel like life became very easy, and it became very easy for me. You know, I can't really speak for other people, but throughout COVID, being here in Bali, life became very easy for me. I felt in such a comfort zone that like once the borders started opening up, I think I still wanted to continue to grasp to that comfort, to that life that I was experiencing in COVID. You know, like when he sends me a message, hey, flights to Turkey are $500, and I'm thinking like, okay, you know, like, and then like it just really sunk in, like I can do something. I know I can't go and save the world, but I know I can fundraise. You know, like I do charity for a living to some extent. So like, why can I not provide my little grain of salt to help these people? You know, and for some reason, the next morning it just hit me. It's like, okay, you know, of course, you know, I'm not experienced. I'm not a professional. I cannot go out there and know how to remove people that are stuck under buildings and rubble. But I can fundraise, and I know that many people have lost everything. You know, I know many people are homeless, sleeping on the streets.
Yeah.
You know, sleeping in tents, as we all saw in videos and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I told him, buy a ticket now. He bought a ticket, and he just tells me, yo, you're flying out to Turkey in 12 hours. And I do not know anything about Turkey. I've never gone to like Turkey in my life or anywhere in Europe or the Middle East. And as soon as he buys that ticket, I get sick to my stomach, man. I'm like,
even me.
You got nervous.
I'm like, what am I
me,
doing?
Like, I was scared for him. Like, and like even that night, I watched a documentary on Netflix called like the White Helmets.
Okay.
And which they were there as well. They were in Turkey and Syria helping, you know, people get out of the rubble. But I watched that and I was like, that's what I imagined from the images that I saw. That's what I imagined how it's going to be, like a war zone. And I was honestly scared for him. I was like, yo. Like,
yeah. Once we bought that ticket, man, I felt sick to my stomach. And I'm like, why am I doing this to some extent, you know? And what I kept reminding myself is this is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And anytime in my life where I have done that, I have lived the most beautiful moments. And yeah, man, once he bought that ticket, we start going at it. You know, we start making a video, we fundraise some money.
I mean, we stayed up all night that night.
Yeah, we stayed up all night, like
5, 6
Did you guys make good? Did you guys got good money?
Yeah, because like, you know, obviously we have a 12-hour difference from here in America. So
Yeah.
like throughout the whole night, we know that this is our time, like our peak time to really start trying to fundraise. And we were literally just guerrilla marketing, like just reaching out to any person that we could like think of back home.
Yeah,
You're like a content creator, so only for charity.
Yeah, like literally,
For
it was
sure, yeah.
crazy. It was a
And-
crazy grind. Like,
Yeah.
And I was calling every person who I knew that had a good heart on my phone, just calling them. And it was so beautiful, honestly, to see being backed by so many people. And that's a beautiful thing about doing charity as well, is not only do we get to change people's lives and help people, but, you know, people trust you with their hard-earned money. And I always say anywhere I go, although you guys see me and my team come forward and help you guys, none of this is possible if it's not for generous people with a kind heart who trust us. So we're just a vessel. We're a platform that allows people across the world to help people who are in need. And to continue with the Turkey experience, yeah, man. So like next thing you know, we buy the ticket and we have 12, and I have 12 hours, 12 hours to get ready to go to Turkey. And to be honest, like I don't know anybody in Turkey. I don't even know where like exactly in
staying?
Turkey. I don't even know exactly in Turkey where the earthquake happened,
Yeah.
you know? And next thing you know, like for the next 12 hours, I don't sleep and I'm just messaging people. And it's so beautiful to see how like many people like supported, shared the video that we made. And next thing you know, people start messaging me, hey, I know who you can meet there. Hey, I know this charity you can work with. Hey. So then like as I'm packing things, putting things together, and you know, I remember just on the flight there, just making plans as I'm going. And I knew I knew to some extent what I could possibly, I knew what I was putting myself into to some extent, because I knew for a fact that I was putting my name on the line. I was putting everything on the line to some extent, you know, like I'm going to a place where I don't know what's going on. You know, it's definitely not no games, you know, it's pure disaster. I've made a promise to people that I was going to make sure to take their contributions, their donations directly to the people. And yeah, so like that was pressure that I had put on myself, but that's what I love. You know, I love being able to put myself against the wall and delivering for people. You know, I like at the end of my days, what I want to be remembered by is to be a man who can be taken seriously by his word, you know? So going out there, man, I landed in Istanbul and yeah, started messaging people. Next thing you know, I ended up on a caravan with two trucks that semi trucks that drove from Istanbul all the way across the country to the border of Syria. So it was like a 15-hour journey, and that was crazy, you know. And thanks to our supporters, we were able to fund the transportation costs of one of the trucks, a semi truck filled completely with blankets, food, tents, anything you can think of what these people needed. And those trucks were going into Syria. And the crazy thing is that no international aid was allowed into Syria for like the first 8 days. And that was the saddest thing to witness, that, you know, to see all the world come together and help Turkey, and then to see Syria is being left alone, you know. And it's sad that international aid was not allowed in. And but however, like both of the trucks that we drove from Istanbul all the way to the border of Syria, they were able to get in because that organization was a Syrian organization that helped Syrian people, but they were just registered in Turkey. So they were able to like pull some strings, and that was like the first two trucks that were able to make it into Syria. It was crazy. My goal was to go into Syria with them, but it was just so difficult because Syria kind of has like an ongoing conflict, and it was just very dangerous, you know. Like there was no guarantee. I mean, there was kind of a guarantee of me going in, but no guarantee of me coming back out, you know. And I was like, all right, you know, there was one of the nights we were actually on the border of Syria, and we were bringing some food to one of the truck drivers, and next thing you know, you start seeing the ambulances pulling up to the border. And I thought for a second they were going. I didn't know who they were. It was just like a van with one of those emergency lights on, and the guy comes out of the ambulance, and I thought he was gonna say, "Hey guys, you guys cannot be here" or something like that. And it's just like an ambulance worker, just a paramedic, he just comes out and says, "Hey guys, can you guys please help me carry this body?" So he had a body in the ambulance, and they had been doing so many trips throughout the day that they were so exhausted that they needed help to carry a body into a pickup truck to send it across the border into Syria. So, next thing you know, I find myself there carrying bodies into a pickup truck, bodies that were recognized by a number, not their name.
Yeah.
You know, and at this point, you know, then it really starts like hitting, you know, like of what's going on here in Turkey, or in Turkey and in Syria. And the team, after the organization that I was there with, after some time, they were able to make their way into Syria. And I decided, and I couldn't go in. Like they tried their very best, but it was just so complicated. And again, back on Instagram, just telling people, hey, I need somebody to take me to a city that has been devastated by this earthquake. And next thing you know, some guy is driving 2 hours to pick me up at the border and take me to the city. And at this point, I'm kind of like, it's been like 3 or 4 days that I've been in Turkey, and I'm like, I haven't really been able to find families to help directly. And I'm like, time is running. You know, these families are sleeping on the floor. These families are homeless, have nothing left to them. And as my friend Hal-hal, he picks me up. Not even my friend, he's just a complete stranger who picks me up. And I remember like it's like the most weirdest encounter, you know, like a complete stranger comes, picks you up, and he just starts driving me towards the city. And I'm like, hey brother, can you guarantee me that we're gonna be able to help families that are in need? Because that city that we were in, when I was at the border, for some reason that city right at the border was not like really destroyed.
Yeah.
To some extent. So I'm like, yo, where are these families that are like where's the destruction to some extent? Because it was weird that city had not been destroyed. So then this guy starts driving me back to his city, and I'm like, brother, like I need to make sure I help people who really need this help. And I'm like, are you sure your city needs help? And he was like, brother, trust me. It's a 2-hour drive, and we start pulling up to a city, and next thing you know, man, imagine like 5-story buildings collapsed to the floor. Every other building in that city was collapsed, and every collapsed building had people inside of them. And he was telling me like the reality of what was going on, and he told me, imagine life is normal, and you wake up the next day and 35 of your friends, family, relatives, peers are gone. And
You can't imagine. I don't think you can imagine that.
when I saw the people, because like once I saw the people there, I think they were like in shock. I don't think they really clocked in what was going on. Like it was crazy, brother. Like it's like a Call of Duty map. Every other building on the floor, and to think that there was people inside of each one of those buildings that's on the floor. And the crazy thing is that there was a limited amount of machinery to excavate these buildings. So, you know, people had to, or the rescue workers had to choose, okay, do we spend time on this building, or do we go to a new building that we haven't even dug, knowing that there's people there as well? You know, and whenever the rescue workers, which I have so much respect for because they worked endlessly, man. They worked like 18-hour days, 20-hour days, endlessly trying to find survivors, because as each day passes, the window of survivors gets the window of survival gets lower and lower.
Lower and lower, yeah.
And next thing you know, like the saddest thing is when they had to choose, okay, you know what? We know there's 3 people stuck in this building, but let's go to this one that has 20. You know, and the saddest thing is to see the next day the family members of this building that is no longer going to be excavated. You just see the family members throwing rat poison to the building so the rats don't eat the bodies of their loved ones. And yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I heard all sorts of stories, and that's when like my life really started changing. When it didn't matter if you were successful, it didn't matter if you were alone or had it all going for you, or if you were a complete failure. Like life got You know, it's like life is so unpredictable, man. And I saw it, you know, like I saw people, I saw dreams shattered. It was crazy stuff, man. It was really crazy stuff.
So you're able to at the end you're able to successfully provide what the word you gave it for.
Yeah, so thanks to my friend Halil, which I love that guy, man. Thank God his family, his home was not destroyed by the earthquake, and he was able to help me find a supplier of food and help me the whole entire day to distribute the food. And we did this for like 5, 6, 7 days.
How hard is to implement in these kind of scenarios? Because imagining getting a big semi truck of all the goods you need, and everybody else is doing the other side of the thing.
Okay, so the semi trucks that uh, Rescue 2000 funded, those made it into Syria. So the organization that I first worked with, they made sure that all that aid was given to the people of Syria. I stayed in Turkey. I went to a whole different city by myself. And the way we did it is that we reached out to a supplier of food from a neighboring city that did not get affected much by the earthquake, and we literally just bought everything from them.
How many people did we take care of?
We
Or
fed
that we fed?
over 4,000 families.
4,000 families.
Yeah, over 4,000. We give away. Yeah, we helped. Sorry, we helped. Yeah, we helped over 4,000 people, and we also. I really focus as well on mothers who had kids, because literally, like, people lost everything and were sleeping on the streets with tents.
He was telling me that like the Syrians that lived in Turkey at that time, they were there illegally. So whenever it was time for the government to provide aid, they wouldn't help those that were illegal.
But
And so
it isn't fair. They're all humans, no?
yeah.
Yeah. So like I
And
realized.
I don't know if you mentioned about the warehouse either that
Yeah.
you saw.
So I realized many things too. So that part of Turkey, there's many Syrian refugees who escaped the war in Syria and were living in Turkey illegally. And when I was going, because I was going around in a car with a bunch of food care packages and just giving it to families that I saw on the streets or living in tents, And what's crazy was that you would see like almost every family that had a nice tent with a nice logo of an organization, they were Turkish. Whenever you saw a tent that was built from anything that was found, they were Syrian.
Syrians.
Yeah, and yeah, as you said, for some reason, yeah, a lot of the Syrian people were not receiving any help. They were the ones that I could tell really needed it. And there was so when I was in the border of Turkey and Syria, I was staying out of like a organization HQ, like a headquarters, and they had a massive warehouse with so many supplies. Like imagine 2 football fields with clothes, beds, tents, food. And I remember like just seeing some people go into like the gate of this compound and saying, "Hey, I really need a tent for my family and I," and they would get denied the help, and they would say, "Sorry, we cannot help you. We're working with the government." And it's like, what do you mean? Like this person just came up asking for help, and you're denying them help. Meanwhile, you have this massive warehouse with all these things, and that's just one thing that like I did not like. I did not like that the fact that I understand as well. I guess that there's ways to operate and stuff, but when somebody in need during a time of disaster comes and asks you for help because they're sleeping on the streets and you deny help from them, it just doesn't sit right in my heart. It just does not sit. So that's why I made sure that I was going to the people who I saw living in the streets with tents, and I made sure that they were handed food to be able to feed their loved ones. And if I saw women with their kids, I made sure I gave them Pampers for their kids and milk and formula for their kids and sanitary cleaning products for themselves. But I have such a like vivid image in my head of the reality of like the destruction. You know, you go to the cemetery, they were not even digging the bodies; they were just putting the bodies on top of the ground and just
It's
putting
like the same
just
as COVID time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just putting like dirt on top of the bodies and just putting a stick with a number on it. And ew, crazy stuff,
Tough.
man. Crazy stuff.
Tough.
So how it is for you guys? Like, I mean, I heard from like you telling me that your father started this since 2000.
Yeah, so this originally, Rescue 2000 began in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And of course, obviously 2000. We are immigrants. We moved from Chile. My father moved from Chile to the United States, and he began with a loaf of bread and a thermos of coffee, and he began feeding the homeless on the streets. And little did he know, he needed a lot more, and he began going every Saturday night, and from there till this day, he has not missed a single Saturday. And so for us, we grew up going every Saturday night to go feed the homeless with my father.
Yeah.
With our father. We always say my. I don't know why. But
We kind of selfish. That
yeah, we kind of
it's always like it's my mom,
Yeah.
it's my dad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so yeah, we grew up on that basis of always giving back, to those in need. And yeah, 23 years later,
You're still doing it.
still doing it, man.
Is it that's the thing I would like to know, because as me, I rarely do anything good,
I mean, this is good though, man.
This is
You're
good, man.
you're giving a platform to people to speak. This is good stuff, man. This is like not everybody has to start a charity and help
Yeah.
people. This is beautiful what you do, man.
hopefully. So I would like to know that, like, how it is, like, I mean, for a normal human being to go from he's not doing anything good and go to Turkey and like you and help people is going to be changed. Like you said, it still changed your life. Been doing Rescue 2000 here for last 3 years, and you went to Turkey and did that, right? So to do that, first of all, you need to be able to like hold yourself, like not like broken off, right? Like you need to be able to be strong enough to go there and see all this and still be able to help, right? So would you say it came from your since the childhood?
Yeah, I think Dad did a really good job with teaching us that the motivation of that the reason for doing things is not motivation, or it's not because you enjoy it or fun. He really taught us that you as a man, you do things because it's your duty, and regardless of how you feel, regardless of how you feel, if you take on a responsibility, you show up every day, no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on, you take on that responsibility and you show up every day. And the day that I saw that with my own eyes in my dad's life was, believe it or not, living in America as immigrants, as illegal immigrants, because we crossed the border. We haven't spoken about that.
I would like to know that story too.
Yeah, so we crossed.
This might be your longest podcast, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah.
yeah. So, sorry. Where you want me to talk about?
No, I would like to know. So yeah.
Okay. So then we can go back. It's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we can flow with it. It's nice. The day that I saw my dad, or the day that I saw the best example of doing things because it's your duty, is when, living the American dream. My parents, we had a nice house in America, 2 stories, 5 bedrooms, pool, 3 cars in the driveway, and just seeing where we came from in Chile, and being able to say, wow, look, we made it here in America. We got it all. Living in a nice neighborhood in the suburbs. It's like life was good, and then seeing all of a sudden our house being taken away from the bank and becoming homeless, and living in a rundown church building with our mattresses on the floor, our
How
boxes.
old were you guys at that point?
I was 19.
19.
I was 16.
Yeah.
So you're mature enough to know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was a day that I will never forget. Actually, it was a day where none of my parents were home, and it was just my brothers. My brother was actually going to work, was about to leave for work, and my grandma that was visiting from Chile at 94 years old.
94.
Yeah, and she was visiting at the time, and my brother's about to go to work, and next you know, he gets a knock on the door, and it's a police officer saying, "We have an eviction notice. We need to get all your stuff out of the home today." And they had a crew. They start coming in, start taking everything out, putting in black bags, like not even organizing nothing. And I remember, I honestly don't remember much of that day when it all went down. I just remember that I just had to move. I just remember that I had to move my stuff, or else they were gonna break it. And I was just moving stuff from 1 p.m. till midnight. I was just moving the whole day, and I was never really able to process it until the next couple of days, where I found myself sleeping, basically on the ground with like rats and cockroaches on the ground. Not even a shower. Having a bucket and having to wash yourself. And this is all in America. This is stuff
Never
you don't
happens
see.
in America.
Yeah. Here, I mean, it might be normal, but
Yeah.
in America, it wasn't normal, and it was just such a drastic change that when it hit me, it was like, wow, like that's when everything changed for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the craziest thing, man. Like going from like living the American dream one day and then the next day being at the very bottom, like back to the start or even below the start, I would say. Yeah, sleeping on the floor with your mattresses and all your belongings and boxes all around you in a place that's not livable with no AC, no heater, no proper shower. At least I had a kitchen. I remember that. And living like that for 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, yeah. And the crazy thing is like that building was like not habitable. So anytime the fire marshal would come and make sure that the building like is, I don't know, it's not falling over or something, we would have to hide our mattresses. So
that you guys
so
they don't
he-
know you're sleeping there.
exactly. So he wouldn't know that we're sleeping there. And yeah, and but you know what's crazy? Like to answer the question that you asked me earlier, like of why I do this thing with why I dedicate my life to helping people, is because being homeless for those 2 years, my dad never stopped going to the streets and feeding other homeless people. So I saw with my own eyes a homeless man continue to help other homeless people. And that's when it really hit me, and I knew, okay,
So he was working more than he needs to and getting the money and paying off, feeding you guys and feeding other people on
yeah, for
Saturdays.
me, that's when I knew, okay, this is not about feelings. This is not about enjoyment. This is not about,
Whether it's fair or not.
yeah, this is about nothing but duty. And and that's how I live my life to some extent. I choose to take this on. I choose to take this responsibility, and I show up to do it regardless of how I feel, and regardless of if I wake up one day and I want to go up to the mountains and help people or not. No, I do it because it's my duty. I truly believe it's my duty. And you know what's beautiful? That the end product of this is fulfillment, enjoyment, feeling like I'm living a true purpose-filled
yeah.
life. So now I see why, like, okay, now I see why my dad does it as well, and I can relate with him more than ever, because I did not understand back then, like, yo, why are you still helping people out? We broke, we homeless, you know, and it was crazy because we had to like live off our cars sometimes, like there was a few times where,
So you never asked that question to your father? You never asked that question to your father?
Actually, that's really good that you say that, because I've never had that conversation yet with my dad.
Yet?
Of saying like, yo, dad, like, why did you keep going out to the streets? And yeah, we never had that like purpose talk, but I'm sure, I mean, I know it.
Yeah.
I see it, I know that he does it because he believes with all his heart that it's his purpose to do that, that's what he was put on this earth to do. And yeah, like we may have never talked about it, but looking him in the eyes, I can see that, all right, this man is a man who's living off duty and not chasing things.
How is your mother feels about this?
It was a very sad, it was a very sad time for my mother, because
she's the one who needs to see and support everybody else.
She that was her home of her dreams. That was, she put so much time and money into it. She took care of it like nobody else would. She would have the nicest garden in the whole neighborhood. when the Christmas came around, nicest decorations. Like she poured her life into having that home, you know, and because you know it was a lot different than the home that we grew up in Chile, and to see her lose everything and put into boxes and lose almost everything because we weren't the ones that put it in boxes. Like we weren't the ones. It was these random people that just the landlord hired, and you know, and so much got lost. And you know, for her it was devastating. You know, and it was tough, but she pulled through. You know, she was
That's right.
always.
Yeah.
And that's why we build houses.
Yeah.
That like I told my mom, you know, like life took a house from us.
You're building
Now
more.
you best know I'll build as many houses as I can.
Yeah.
Like life messed with the wrong family. Like I'm gonna go out there and build as many houses that I can, and with the dream of one day being able to build my mom a house.
You know,
Yeah.
and you know, when you say that, you know, mess with the wrong family, like I think what really shaped our mentality in this way as well is being told that we're a winner every single day. You know, like every day before school, we were told we guys are winners. Like you have that name, you're a winner.
Yeah,
You know.
our dad always like ingrained that in us. You know, he always told us you don't
Shout
hang
out
around.
pops.
Yeah, shout out pops. Yeah, every day,
Got me
man.
emotional.
He always told me you don't hang around with pigeons. You fly high. Yes, sir. And don't get me wrong. Like I know maybe how I have spoken about my dad. You may think he's like a drill sergeant. Nah, he's
No. I mean,
he's a grandma's heart.
If he's not
Yeah.
soft enough, he
No,
would
he's
never
soft,
help
man. He's
other people.
yeah, no,
you know?
he's a grandma's heart. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, he's
OG.
he's an OG. He's a legend.
He's
a
he's
freaking
very
legend.
known in Atlanta, Georgia. Like if you go to the streets, like there's only like a couple, like maybe if not the only organization still left feeding homeless on the streets in Atlanta. And because
It's one of the worst cities.
yeah,
because
man, it's
so much
most
homeless.
people
like after LA, I feel.
Yeah, and there's so many homeless in the streets. What's crazy is that there is a law in Georgia where we live that you cannot feed homeless people in the streets. You gotta feed them in a building or in a place indoors. And my dad is still feeding homeless people in the streets,
like on a parking lot.
in a parking lot at night next to the prison. And the cops drive by all
They
the time.
stop by and they come say hi to them. Like you
Yeah.
know, it's
Because he's been
Yeah.
doing it for so long, you know.
Yeah.
That, like, and my dad always makes sure that he cleans up the parking lot afterwards and stuff. Because that was a big issue too. Many people would go and feed homeless people and just leave all the trash there. But my dad, you know, he always made sure that we leave this place spotless, you know. And it's crazy. Like we grew up with homeless people our whole lives. You know, every Saturday night.
it'd sometimes be the same homeless.
Yeah, every Saturday night, my dad would just take us to the streets. And sometimes, you know,
It's like family gathering.
Yeah,
yeah.
bro, it
So
was-
like we didn't have a normal. We never had like a normal Saturday night. It was just always just going to the streets with my dad, and it's crazy, you know. Like you know, there's homeless people who live in the streets for a very long time, and it's for different reasons. Sometimes it's for like drug addiction, mental problems. Sometimes you have veterans that never really got help, but man, some of these homeless people they saw me grow up. You know, they saw me there when I was 8 years old. They saw me there when I was 18, you know, and what's crazy, I always tell this story, is crazy because sometimes, you know, we would be home watching TV and then news alert. There goes Will again, shoplifting a store.
Literally, bro, it would
Will,
be
come on,
crazy.
man. Like,
What is the one of the best advice you ever received from a homeless person?
oof.
You feel?
You know, actually, it's been so many. I think that's a good. I've never been asked that question. That's a good question. Best advice that I have received from a homeless person.
Because I
Well,
mean,
there was one time this lady, I'm like, I forgot her name, but she was. I'm like, why you out here? And she was like, I set my boyfriend on fire. I'm like, no, girl. She's like, yeah, I caught him cheating, so I set him on fire when he was sleeping. I was like, no, okay, girl, you get
No, and then you see them like the lady. I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about. She's take her shirt off in front of all like you know homeless standing in line and braless. Just
yeah, it's sad sometimes.
yeah, it's
because
sad. Like
Yeah.
you know, you can tell some people
Yeah,
are struggling
it's
with drugs or mental problems, but man, you hear all
but
sorts
sometimes,
of stories.
man, like although they have those problems, like you can tell deep down they have a good heart. You know,
Yeah.
deep down, like we
course,
at
they all been
least
there, yeah.
at least we saw the good side of them. Like
Yeah.
we saw the good in them. You
Yeah,
know?
like I mean, like in the streets, we're like
We had one of the most dangerous, like, so there, like,
Will.
Will, the guy that we saw he was actually like one of the guys he's actually one of the homeless that has stuck with rescue for this whole time, and he's still homeless. Like, he's still to this day, you know, every once in a while you won't see him for like a couple months because he's in jail, but like he always comes back, and he's literally like our bodyguard. Like,
He's my dad's bodyguard.
He literally makes everyone gets in a straight line. Anyone starts having problems with my father or anyone from the rescue team, he sets them straight. Like, he's known to be a very dangerous man.
I've seen,
but like, this guy has such a good heart. Like,
he loves us.
he loves us. Like,
I've seen this guy, literally, some guy, he was just.
If you don't mind me cutting off, what is the advice you got from the
Oh,
girl?
the advice, man, that's, let me think about that. The best advice I've gotten from a homeless person, I think would be, I wouldn't say it's an advice, but in a conversation with a homeless person, he told me, when you look at me, don't feel bad for me.
Okay.
He's like, don't feel bad for me. He's like, I understand my life is very different from yours, but I'm out here giving the best that I got. And I don't need anybody to feel bad for me. You know, me, like, he's like, my path is different than yours. I got played different cards than you. I don't need people to feel bad for me.
Yeah.
Because I sleep good at night. He's like, I sleep in the streets, but I sleep good at night. And he would always tell me, and I look at those buildings, and I know they don't, I know they may have more money than me, but they can't sleep at night. So, yeah, I would say that's the greatest advice I received from a homeless person. It's to understand that we all have battles, and we're no one to judge other people.
Yeah.
You know, like, you may see him in the streets, so you may think, oh, he's a loser. Nah. He's somebody who's giving his very best in this life.
And it's not only judging. I think there is two advices there. It doesn't matter where you are in life. If you, like, celebrities, why are they doing, like, so many of them do drugs? Why are they doing that? Because are they happy? I don't think so. The reason they're doing it, they're not happy. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as he said, like, he's going to bed and he able to sleep well.
And you know what's the most beautiful thing? People like him who are able to understand that are usually the ones that make it out of the streets, and then you see them come back and volunteer and help us feed the homeless people.
And the most thing they're excited about is to tell us that they have a job.
Yeah, that's
Like, they come back like, I got a job now, and I'm like, oh.
Or sometimes they come, you know, because, like, you don't see them for like a few months, you know, because we're there every Saturday night. Sometimes they come up and they're like, yo, I got a job now, and I got a whip.
Nice car, right?
Yeah, when they come and say that, that's when they're like, that's when it makes it all worth it, you know. And
I'd say for me though, so obviously growing up, I really looked up to my dad.
Yeah.
And
our dad.
Yeah. And like, so not only did my father provide food for these homeless, but he also provided a word to them, you know, because although, you know, food may, you know, fill you up for a couple hours, you know, the word that he was given could, you know, fill you up for a long time.
Yeah.
You know?
He would always give them a word of encouragement before every time that we gave food. Yeah.
So at a young age, I obviously I looked up to him, and I wanted to preach because I wanted to. I felt like I had a fire inside of me to speak to these people, even though I was like maybe like 15, 16 years old.
That's right.
Like 14 years old. Yeah, man, I was young, and I remember I spoke one time, and I had a homeless come up to me, and he told me, "Don't ever let that fire like go out.
Keep it in you."
And because you never know who's listening, and you can never know who can relate with you. And for me, it's like I didn't see those good people as any different than I am. You know, I didn't think that I was better than them. I didn't think that, you know, I was superior. I legit saw them as family to me. And he says, like, no matter what age you are, no matter how old you are, when you got an innocent fire like that, you are able to touch you are able to touch anybody. And, you know, from there on, like, anytime that I preached, which was several times, I would always have homeless come up to me afterwards, you know, bawling their eyes out. And that was just me, you know, with that fire, you know, and, you know, yeah, that taught me, like, no matter what, you know, it doesn't matter how old you are, like, you can make an impact in this world, and you can be the last, you know, missing piece to someone else's puzzle. And you know, from there on, yeah, that's probably one of the greatest advice, you know. And
Because I think words can touch humans very easily, and with social media being there
I
right
think it's when
now,
they can feel it, and they can feel that you're really speaking out of your heart
yeah,
with that fire, for sure. Like words can definitely impact someone's life.
Yeah, words are seeds that you can plant in people's hearts.
yeah,
You know, and um, I've been realizing that very lately because I love to talk, but I'm not that good of a listener. Um, and sometimes when you talk a lot, like me, you kind of forget to acknowledge the power of words. So I'm just focused on talking, and I don't realize that I have to be very careful with what I'm speaking. I have to
yeah,
be very careful with what words I'm choosing, and what I realized, the way that you become more careful with your words and what words you use, is that you listen more. You know, you truly listen to people wanting to truly understand what they're trying to say to you. And I think once you do that, then you're able to really understand the power of words, because when you speak, you're just speaking things that you already know of, but when you listen, you may hear something you never heard before. You know, and it's beautiful. You know, everybody's a universe of themselves, and they see the world in a different way than you. They have different perceptions of things. Yeah, they have different perception. They have different perceptions of things, and to let someone, like, to allow somebody, to give somebody space for them to share with you how they experience and see this world. I think that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
because I feel like people now is even sometimes you listen, you don't think you listen, but subconsciously you take it.
True,
Sometimes that's where you come in, like when you talk proper, you need to talk proper with certain people, like especially when you're in the media,
Yeah,
people are listening.
for sure.
If you say something, somebody takes it wrongly,
Yeah.
and you ruin somebody else's life.
Yeah. Words are very powerful.
Yeah,
man. Like,
you
you
gotta-
can really.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah,
Especially nowadays.
there's
Yeah.
so much heat going on. Yeah,
Bro,
for sure.
man.
But I think that, like, it's something that we can all improve in.
Yeah.
You know, we can all be more mindful of what words we're using, and like, I've always known, you know, like, I always try to take accountability for anything in my life, and sometimes, like, to the point where, you know, if I'm communicating something to you and you don't understand me, I take responsibility for that, because, like, I feel like the key of communication is you being understood. So I have to, like, if I want to be a good communicator, I have to make sure that I'm being understood. I can't just blame you for not understanding me. You know,
Yeah.
it's about understanding how. Yeah,
I think it goes both ways too, though. You know.
Yeah. Sometimes the other person not be able to understand
That's
your
what I'm saying,
perspective of where you're coming from also, unless he experience it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you've been in Turkey. I can listen to you
Yeah.
and understand it, but I cannot imagine it at all. So
But I think if I'm a good communicator, then I can articulate my thoughts into a way that it can, like, make sense in your head.
Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
creative imagination. Man.
yeah, maybe I'm so dumb, you know.
No, I'm trying to work on that too. Like, it's
You never know who's the person who's so talented or dumb, you know. I could say I'm dumb.
I think we're all dumb to some extent. Like,
But I would like to know that you, in this whole, like, I'm not sure how old you boys are.
28.
24.
24. In this years, you never thought of quitting all this and finding a nice job and settling down somewhere.
So yeah, like I came here over little over a year ago, right when, like, the borders started opening up, and I had when my brother, you know, proposed for me coming out here because he needed someone to work with that he could trust.
Yeah, running a charity is no easy
it's
work,
not-
man.
yeah.
So I had to call my brother, and I was like, "Yo, I need some help."
But I had one more semester left in uni.
At least you have someone to call, right?
Yeah. So I called him first, and I'm like, "Hey, bro, I need your help."
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, can you wait like 6 months, 7 months?" Because he's on his last semester of university. And I'm like, "I can't. I need your help now." You know, and he's like, "Yo, you know, Dad is not gonna let me go."
Because they sacrificed so much for us to get this education, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, if it's always, it feels like it's only right for us to deliver, you know, and get that graduation. But
I
one
call my
thing,
dad, yeah.
one thing that made me really, like, okay, say like, all right, I'm gonna drop out was that first of all, I do plan on finishing school at some point, but I would like for my mother to be able to experience me graduating because she wasn't able to experience me graduating high school because she had lived in Chile at that time, and so for that was a very like hard moment, you know, for me, for like my mother not to be there. So like, you know, for me, I was like, you know what, I can always finish it. I can always come back. I have one semester left, and yeah, I was like, you know, I'm done. Like, I guess I'm done for now. I'm gonna go. I asked my father and our father, and yeah, he had to convince my father for me because
Yeah, I had to call him. He told me, do you really needed him? Like, because like I said, things were growing pretty fast with the rescue, and you know, it's not a one man show by all means. And I just needed help, and I needed somebody who I can trust with my life, and that's my brother.
But to answer your question, like and also another thought that came to my mind was like, I honestly don't even know where I would apply after university. Like I had nothing that kind of like really interested me or like really made me excited, but doing a charity. And it's crazy that like this is something that we dreamed about when we were young. Like I remember we had our own rooms growing up, but we would always sleep together, like every
You
night.
don't gotta say that, bro.
Hey, we're
okay.
I was 18 years old, still sleeping with my brother.
yeah. So, but like,
As
so
long
like,
as you're brothers, it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Hey, but when we slept, it was sleeping facing different ways.
Nah.
Just to make sure.
No, head to toes. No?
No Star Wars. No Star Wars in the morning.
No, so yeah, so like I remember like always before the bed we always have conversations, you know, just brother talks, and I still remember vividly like telling him like, man, we really got to do something much greater than what our father did, and he literally told me like I was maybe 13, 14, 15 years old at this time, and he told me I want to go to Bali. And this is like, I'm 24 now, so this is like 10 years, over 10 years. I have no clue what Bali is like.
Yeah.
And me just like looking up to my brother when I would get asked in school, like, what's one, like teachers or friends, like, what's that one destination that you would love to go? Bali. I didn't even know how it looked.
Yeah.
I didn't like until I Googled it one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's a beautiful island. Like,
Yeah.
and then now fast forward 10 years later,
You're here.
guy made it out to Bali. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that was manifestation to like crazy.
Sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It was, and there's now like, and now it's we're building something that could be greater than what my father has, you know, but we have some years to put in.
Yeah, I
it's-
think I think whatever you guys did so far, as I've seen, really great.
Thank you.
Building homes is one of the biggest things. But for me, with that, a question comes for me. You building a home is to sleep people, right?
Sorry, can I interrupt you for
Okay.
a second? I apologize. But you asked a question like, have you ever thought about finding another job? And to answer that question,
sorry.
Yeah, to answer that question, I don't see myself doing anything other than this, you know. And yes, I know that for the past 3 years, I could have dedicated myself to some other job that could bring me in a lot of money, whether it was real estate or any other business venture. Because I think deep at heart, I'm an entrepreneur, you know, and running a charity, it does take as well. It is a business, so it does take, you know, a lot of skills that are needed to start any sort of business. And, you know, I can truly say, you know, like the fulfillment that I get from making dreams come true for people and telling their stories, there's nothing like it. And you were going with the question of building homes for people. And like, remember I told you that my biggest dream in my life is to build my mother a house.
Yeah.
I have been able to live that dream through people. You know, there was this one family that we built a house for, and
Arjana, family Arjana.
family Arjana. Yeah, there's this one family that we built a house for in Pedawa, Bali, and when we first went there and saw the conditions that the family lived in, and we knew that, okay, we want to build a house for this family. You know, at that time there was a father, mother, and a son, and we gave them the news, hey, we would like to build you a proper, adequate home for you and your family. And it was beautiful. The mother got emotional, started crying, couldn't believe it. And, you know, we started building the house. We don't build the houses. We hire local workers to build the houses. And Next thing you know, they do an amazing job building this house. It takes 3 weeks, and boom, the house is built. And in Bali, before you move into a house, you have to bless the house. Ceremony, yes. So after the house is built, we get invited over to join them for the house blessing ceremony so they can move into their house. And we with a team, we come to the house ceremony, and this time I see the whole entire family.
Grandma.
The grandma comes, and then I see a girl there. A girl about 17, 18 years old. And then I was told that that's the daughter. So at this moment, I did not know that she existed.
Yeah.
And once the priest does the house ceremony, he blesses the house. I just see this girl so emotional. And I'm kind of looking from a distance. And I just see her like really touched by what's going on. And then I just see her go to my brother and give her a hug.
And like in that moment for me, like I have felt like all her weight just come onto me. Like I could feel her weight just like completely put onto me. And I was just like felt like I was just carrying such a big load. Like,
and I'm watching this from like a distance. I just see her go to my brother and just give him a hug. And it's like kind of like a long hug, but you could see that she's just like
letting everything out.
Letting everything out. And then from where I was standing, I see my brother go to the corner of the house, trying to hide from people. And I know my brother, and I see him like really holding it in. Like
I'm like seconds away from crying like a baby, like full on like.
Yeah, I can see,
bro.
Crying.
So I go up to him. And he's like, bro. He's like trying to hold it in. He's like, bro, I think I might have to go into the woods and cry. And I looked at my brother, and I was like, she knows. He looks at me. He's like, she does know. And what I mean by that, when I told him that she knows, is that she has the same dream as us. Like her dream she has the same dream as us. Her dream was to build her mother a house, and we know, like, I knew it. Like I did not have to speak to her. I did not have to, like, I didn't know she existed until that day of the ceremony. But once I saw her give my brother a hug and I saw what she was experiencing, I'm like, she has the same dream as me. She has the same dream as me. And then she comes up to me and she gives me a hug and she's crying. And then she tells me, I just want to let you know that today my biggest dream came true. And in that moment, I was able to look at her and tell her, you didn't have to tell me. I knew. I felt it. I got the same dream. And I was able to live out that dream through you today. Like I really felt that day that I built my mother a house. Yeah, we saw her dream come true, and we lived it through her. And it was honestly the most beautiful experience. And once you experience those type of moments, man, you can offer me whatever corporate job you want. No amount of money is worth that moment.
No, man.
No amount of money is worth that moment of seeing a dream come true. And then the 2-hour drive back home.
We get home and we look at each other. We're like, dude, I've been crying the whole way back home. Like, he's like, dude, me too.
Yeah, like 2 hours on the bike back home to Canggu from Petawa, Bali. I'm just tearing up the whole way, like just crying, because it was just such a surreal, beautiful moment. Yeah. And to this point, we have built 25 houses. We have changed the life of 25 families here in Bali. Our goal is to be able to build many more houses. And that's to answer your question. I don't see myself doing anything other than this. I want to make more dreams come true. I want to change the life of so many more families. And it's a personal desire. It's a personal desire that I want. But I know that I need my brother by my side, and I need the community that has been backing us up from the very beginning. And I'm super blessed and thankful to have their support.
We've always said, like, our best days here in Bali have definitely been up in the mountains.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
You could have all the fun here, the entertainment you want, you call it whatever. But, like, I can tell you confidently that my best days, and I'm sure his best days here in Bali, have been up there in the mountains with these people.
And the local people, man, they are the kindest, most sweetest, most genuine people. Like, we can pull up to
a village that's never seen a foreign, like, have never seen a foreign come to a village before.
And no matter how bad their condition is that they're living in, they will offer you something to eat. They will offer you coffee. They will offer you tea, brown sugar. Like,
what's that? I know we're doing a segment. What's
Pisang
that?
goreng.
Yeah,
Pisang
Pisang
goreng.
goreng. There we go. That's the famous one.
You
That's
know,
when I
and-
fell in love with it. I was like,
and the like the tricky thing sometimes is when we visit more than one family, because they all want to, like, sometimes, like, let's say we visit 5 families, the 5 families will offer you food and coffee or something. So after like the fifth family, you already had 5 cups of coffee, so you're like,
yeah, it is a strong Bali coffee, like
Yeah,
that
the
pure.
Bali coffee.
Yeah,
I love actually Bali,
yeah,
Bali
it's
coffee.
good, but
Yeah.
it gets you wired.
Yeah,
It gets you.
So, I mean, your plan is to go all over Indonesia or only in Bali?
So like, what we would like to become, we first would like want to conquer, I guess, Indonesia. Or we want to, like, really establish ourselves here in Indonesia. But our goal, in the long term future, we see ourselves as kind of a service to provide, that transparency to our donors. Be their eyes and make sure that their money is going to like the right, appropriate things, and that's what we hope to do all around the world is, you could send us anywhere and we make sure that your money's being used the right way. Cause that's our main focus is to like be that bridge of transparency. And, that's,
yeah, for us, Bali has my heart.
yeah.
Indonesia has my heart. I love the people. I love the culture. And yeah, one of the dreams would be to be able to expand our projects onto other islands. For me, that's the best way to get to know the culture, to get to explore and meet new places. It's just going to different islands and helping the people in the villages. Trying the new foods from the villages, conversations with local people who don't stay near the resorts or the touristic parts. I feel like that's the best way to really get to know a country. And man, Indonesia is so vast, so big. We got a lot of islands that we can visit, and I do see myself in the future with Rescue 2000 visiting all these beautiful islands and meeting all these different people and seeing how they do life. I feel like Indonesia, it's a country that has been able to preserve its culture and all the different islands and all the different islands, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see a country with so many different religions and everybody still be in harmony and be so happy. And
Yeah, man.
it's and like
I feel like that's rare, honestly, in this world.
Yeah, it is for sure rare.
know?
That's why everybody loves
Yeah,
Bali.
like
Everybody
it's-
loves Indonesia. Come here and they're like, okay, this is where I want to be.
and to be honest, and the support that we get from Indonesian people, it's like no other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
man.
most beautiful thing is that you get blessings from like everyone. You get the Muslim people sending you blessings. You get the Catholics, the Christians, the Hindus, and it's just so beautiful to see such a diverse country. And
One goal with one goal.
yeah, with one
man.
goal, and it's honestly,
I don't think we received one like bad comment under one of our.
we've never, from the very beginning, we've
Never.
never received one bad comment from our Indonesian
That's the thing.
supporters.
That would be different in America. You'd get a bunch of trolls and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different everywhere.
Yeah, in America, if you try to help people, you get trolls.
Yeah, you get
You get-
like somehow they find the bad in it or something. They somehow like I don't know.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot of time. People will be waiting. They want to
Yeah.
go home too.
Okay. Sorry.
But I want to do the segment only for a few seconds because since it was a segment, this segment is called Things to Guess. And in our segment, I mean, I would like to do part 2. I mean, if you guys are available,
Let the people talk.
yeah. If you guys are
want
available,
part 2?
because I feel like I didn't ask so many things I wanted to.
Let's do a part 2, man.
Yeah,
Let's
and-
just go ahead and do it. I know we got lots of more stories.
Yeah.
Lots of more
Oh,
stories.
Because I feel like I think you guys need to be more out there. I think there is so many people can able to help, but they can't do it by themselves, right?
This has actually happened to us. Yesterday we were on a phone call or on a Zoom with a reporter from like America, and we're kind of telling our story, and like it's been like an hour, like more, and she's like, "Okay, I have another call. Like, I love that you guys are being so open with us. We're gonna have to like have another like call to finish everything off because
I feel like this is so much of everybody else's stories, with including yours. But if anybody's sitting in those chairs other than you guys, most of them is their stories, right? You have many people surrounding you with your stories combined, connected to other
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
So I can't just say by one episode, I feel.
If the people want another episode, we give the people what they want.
How many likes? Should
I want
how many?
We're for the people, you
Yeah.
know. So
How many likes should we ask for?
So the segment is things to guess. In this segment, we're gonna guess. It's mainly for people who's trying to travel Indonesia, and we're trying to teach them not be like be able to know little basics and be a good tourist. At the end of the day.
Okay, makes sense.
And this segment, we're gonna give. I will ask couple of food items, and
Okay.
you have to guess what they are. Nasi goreng.
I'll take that one.
It's easy one.
Nasi goreng is the most delicious rice dish you will ever taste in the world. Spices, flavor, it got it all. And you can choose whether you want nasi goreng with chicken, with seafood, vegan, not vegan, vegetarian.
It's basically like fried rice.
Yes.
Yeah,
No way.
fried rice, yeah. But it's like
Top.
no other.
Fried
Yeah.
rice.
And it has some spice if you want some sambal on it.
Hey,
Yeah.
be careful with that. Be
There you
careful.
go. He just gave
Be
the second
careful.
one. What is sambal?
Sambal is devil's sauce.
Yeah, I don't touch that stuff.
I
It's-
wouldn't say so.
It
so
is
hot,
so hot,
bro.
man.
Yeah.
It is.
When people say spicy here, it's spicy, like
Yeah.
another level spicy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm Indian.
Yeah, that's true.
No, actually, I think India got the worst spice in the world.
Mexicans beg to differ that, but I don't know.
Shout out to my Mexican people.
Yeah. So sambal is made with chilies, and it is kind of a saucy, kind of, you can say ranch, but it's not ranch.
It's very popular here,
yeah.
though. Very popular.
So
you should
there
try
is
it.
so many sambals. Like there is like, I wouldn't say number because people is gonna care some and say there's 10,000.
Wait, doesn't McDonald's serve like little packs of sambal?
Yeah, they do.
like chili sauce.
They send the chili sauce.
Yeah, it's like-
they don't send the sambal.
Nah.
I mean, hey, you're a McDonald's fan.
Yeah, bro. We're talking about Indonesian food. You bring up McDonald's.
Soto.
Soto is a soup.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah.
I can see his face.
No, yeah, they got the Soto Ajam. They got the little carts in the street. The guys ting 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 ting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a nasi goreng. You can mix with any kind of non-veg and vegetarian.
Okay.
I went
I'm
top
checking you out.
Also, the thing for some reason here in Indonesia, when you get Soto Ajam, it's like Soto chicken. They like putting the chicken feet into the soup.
Yeah, they do.
I don't mess with the chicken feet.
No.
No. Like
Asians love
Just
to
give
eat
me,
chicken feet.
just give me the meat.
Yeah. I'm more like, I don't even eat skin.
Yeah?
nah.
You
I
take the
don't-
skin off?
I don't eat. I only eat the meat. I don't eat chicken skin. If my friend's sitting there, I'll
Chicken-
give it to them.
That got flavor, man.
People
Let's
love
go
to
on
eat
flavor.
with me though. I give up so much of my food to other people.
Nah, what do you mean? Like it's like you take a bite of the chicken wing, here you can have the rest. Nah, I don't want it.
Next one is gado gado. You probably saying
Galo.
it's best
Nice.
Indonesian food.
That's like vegan, right? It's like for vegetarian?
Yeah, it's with peanut sauce and vegetables.
I'm not a fan of the peanut sauce, but people love it here. If
Yeah.
you're a peanut person, you should definitely try it.
It's like a
It's like a Reese's Pieces like type
it's
sauce.
like peanut butter, but not peanut butter to some extent.
Yeah.
But they love it. They put it on everything. Like
Yeah.
they think it's good.
Yeah, they put it on the next word, satay.
Satay.
Yeah.
Satay. You can never go wrong with satay.
What is satay?
Satay is like little chicken kebabs type thing where you
Skewers.
skewers.
Yeah,
But you know what's my favorite food?
yeah.
Up in the mountains, they love eating salted fish. It's like grind up fish,
Okay.
and yeah, it's just grind up fish.
It's very salty.
It's
Okay.
very salty, and yeah, they just serve it with the rice. I don't know what's the name of it, but I love it. It's like
It
this
is good.
grind up
It is
salted
good.
fish, and you
Has
can
a
just
good
mix
taste.
it with the rice and eat it. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's like it's my favorite. Like,
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't know where to get it here in Canggu, but up in the mountains, like especially in
Go in the
Pirawa.
sea, fish, brother.
No, but
Go
you
to the
know,
ocean, bro.
it's different. It's different because when you eat sometimes fish here, like you order like a fish meal, they send you the whole fish.
Yeah.
I don't like the whole fish because then you got to worry about the
Bones and
bones and stuff.
Yeah.
But when they like grind it up and just like give it to you, it's the most tasteful thing. I think the people up in the mountains know what it is. I don't know the name of it. If you guys can let me know.
I think you need to get a Gojek only for that from the mountains.
I don't think a Gojek wants to go all the way to Karangasam or Padawa.
They will. They will. You offer a tip, they will.
Bakso.
Oof.
Meatballs.
Oof. I had a terrible experience. But it's amazing, apparently, without the spiciness. Because, you know, my friend, everyone here would tell me, oh, you got to get those boxes that come around. I'm like, okay. You know, and I'm chilling at my house, my villa, and I hear ding, ding, ding right outside. I'm like, okay, I have 10K on me. Let's just go try it out. So I don't know what it is.
Plastic cover.
Yeah,
it's very hot.
I don't know what it is. So I'm like, yeah, just give me whatever. I give him to him. He starts putting, I guess, the spicy stuff, and I'm like, I take one like bite of it. I kid you not, I start sweating. Like my whole hair's like I just worked out. I'm like having a freak out moment. I'm like, like dry heaving, like awful. And then I tell my friends, I'm like, yo, that thing is like uneatable. Like you can't eat it. And they're like, well, did you have like the spices in it? I was like, I mean, I just asked for a box, so I didn't know like it came with spice. And they're like, yeah, man, you gotta ask without the spice if you're not a big spicy person. So I was like, wow.
Yeah, I had an experience with Bakso as well. One time, my friend, he asked me to dog sit his dog, and he called his dog Bakso. And of course, I take the dog out to me to go eat to a restaurant in Batu Balong. The dog, I lose the dog.
Oh shit, bro! You're not a good.
I lose my friend's dog. So then I'm over here like screaming, Bakso, Bakso, and like all these Indonesian people are looking at me like,
this guy's hungry.
These guys are hungry.
They're like,
Lapar, brother.
I'm like, no, brother, I don't want Bakso. I need to look for the dog.
That's funny. Though. I'm like, here's a couple of meatballs.
And this is the worst. Like the worst is like, I'm screaming Bakso, Bakso. And then Indonesian people are looking at me like, hey, are you hungry? Like, no, I'm looking for my dog. So then I'm walking around and I'm asking people, hey, have you seen a dog? And like local people look at me like, are you kidding me? There's dogs all over the place. Like, I was like, have you seen a black dog? They look at me. Really?
There you go. A few of them.
There's dogs all over the place. So yeah, that's my experience with Bakso. And so 2 things. Try Bakso without spices and don't hang around with a dog that's name is Bakso. And if you ever lose a dog, don't ask the local person if they've seen a dog. Because they see them everywhere.
And,
now, I have a question for you, though.
Okay.
Do you have one more?
I mean, go ahead, yeah.
So why is your podcast named Scoopy Gang? Because I'll say, I saw you the other day driving around, and you did not you were not on a Scoopy. You were on an MX.
At this point, all my listeners probably know and seen and commented, and I mentioned it many times. Scoopy Gang came from, we used to be a group of people just hanging around, and I used to drive a Scoopy.
Oh, okay.
And
you used to drive a Scoopy, bro? I judge you.
Used to drive. I mean, if we ever make money, if we ever have money, I'll buy one Scoopy, you know?
But you know something? There's something true about scooters. For some reason, like if you go from driving an NMAX down to a Scoopy,
bro, it's different.
It's different. You feel.
I just did that recently.
You feel weak, right?
Yeah, bro. No, dude, that thing feels like a toy. Like the Scoopy feels like a toy. Like and I've always said, bro, the Scoopy guys, the Scoopy people are the craziest drivers, bro.
It's
and like,
easy to go through,
bro.
And
I hopped on one. I'm like, now I know why. Because I'm like, I mean, I'm not a crazy driver, but I could feel how like it's like a toy, bro. It's like you could just maneuver it like so easily.
I feel like people who ride Scoopies they don't care about their life. You guys are reckless.
I think I would say I'm a little crazy too, but I'm not driving that crazy anymore. I came from Harley Davidson. To move from that to Scoopy, imagine that.
Wow. You came from a Harley Davidson?
Yeah.
And you went to a Scoopy?
Yeah.
Are you okay, bro? You're not telling me something?
The day I came to Bali and I texted one guy and like, oh, I need a scooter to drive around because I know how to ride and I have license. I had to put it out there. So the guy is like, okay, it's 1.7 million for NMAX. And the other one is like, okay, Scoopy is only 700. I was like, okay, there's so much of difference. I never seen Scoopy in my life. I'm like, okay, I'll take Scoopy. And I came here, I see Scoopy is like, it's very tiny. Imagine me sitting on
your knees.
like a little kid driving a bicycle, bicycle.
Like you cannot put your knees in the bike. You gotta put your knees out.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. Have you seen those people who ride the bikes, but they like put their legs on the pedals? You know, like,
Yeah.
Were you one of those?
I can just stand and I can let things go. You know, it can fit in my both like what do you call legs in between legs. One time I got an accident. I just let the thing go. I was standing there, and everybody's looking at me.
Up.
Who is this coolest motherfucker? I'm like, I was like, I'm trying to not be in the accident. You know, I let the thing go, and it went and fell. All I did is stand on the scooter. I'm like, it's scooter's fault. And I went on with my life. But yeah, I think it's really easy to drive a Scoopy than an NMAX on a traffic.
I just feel more safe on an NMAX.
Yeah, now I feel safe on an
But you know what? I wasn't a Scoopy guy. I was a Vario guy.
Oh, you're a Wario guy.
Yeah, like at the beginning.
And the
when I first came.
so weird.
Those are fraud, bro. Those are.
I feel like Scoopies are for women. Actually, let's not talk about that.
You're canceled, bro.
Okay, we want to end this.
Okay.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys. What you guys doing it? If any time, if I can come and physically do something, I am there.
For sure, man.
Sure.
We'll have
I
you.
will put in my time.
We'll give you a shirt too.
Yeah.
The doors are open for you whenever you want. And thank you for your time. Man. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad how we can go deep into some conversations and then laugh about conversations. So you've done a great job. You're a wonderful host.
For real, man. Thank you.
First podcast ever for me, and I have felt super comfortable.
Yeah.
And
appreciate that. I hope there's a part 2 though. I had fun.
And I want podcast. He says people want it.
It was
I
very
want part 2. You know, because I feel like I need because the reason sometimes I do this to know more knowledge. The more to know more, then put it out there. As long as I'm also knowing it, why not put it out there?
Exactly.
So
and like I said, we're here to serve whatever you guys need. We're here.
Yeah.
Rescue 2000 is
whatever
here
you need,
for you,
bro.
brother.
And I can support as any way I can, because from my point of view, I can put in time. If you ever need some guy to take this to somewhere else, I'm there.
There's so many ways that we accept any type of support, man.
Yeah.
Like it for us, we're not specific on what kind of support we're looking for. We accept anything, man. Honestly,
I am there.
Sharing, commenting, liking. That's
and also one thing too, as I need to work on listening more. If you need a co-host, I'm more than willing to come, sit down, ask a few questions, and not talk and just listen.
Oh, well, that you see the chair over there?
I think it has my name on it.
Here. It can come on. See, I'm as a person, I like to mix up. Like I like to get bored.
Mm-hmm.
So people do typical podcasts, or they're the only host and change people.
Yeah.
For me, if I'm not here, I don't care. It still runs. I want it to still run. So yesterday I did the podcast same where I have a co-host, which she was a guest before.
Oh, okay, nice.
So I'd like to switch it up.
Yeah,
sometimes what I think is the right question, you may not think. And what you think is the right question, I may not think. If you're sitting there, you would ask differently to the people. So in some way, you're putting more out there than yourself. You know? I think it should be like that.
Yeah, man.
Perfect.
So,
hey, much respect.
If I ever need to get a co-host, I don't even hesitate. I'll just text,
Yeah, bro.
Hey, massive. Like we talked earlier before we started. We've seen you grow from a few hundred followers, now 9,000 or so on Instagram. Massive respect. I know how difficult it is to grow a following on Instagram and
YouTube.
Yeah,
that's help to that.
And just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's just a matter of time before the spotlight's put on you, and the way that we obtain the spotlight is not by necessarily chasing it, but by being consistent.
And I think
being consistent.
I don't want to be in the spotlight. I'm under 2 right now.
No, but as long as you stay consistent and true to yourself, your time will come.
And I think this podcast is needed, man, especially here in Bali. I think, not enough is talked about. And from what I see, I think you might be like one of the only podcasts out here. I mean, I think I know another one, but I think, you know, with consistency, like, I think people will really like your podcast, man. I think
I think the praises should be going the opposite direction. I don't know, you guys are making me sit here and give me all the praises. But there is so much work put in, and I'm more like love talking to people. But the thing is, like, what you guys do is whatever I do, we can't compare. You guys are out of, like,
No, brother,
No,
we all doing our part, brother.
Yeah.
We're all doing our part. There's no comparing or measuring who's doing more, who's
Yeah.
doing not. You're waking up your day and you're doing what's in your heart to do, and there's always respect for that, you know. And yeah, so this is we're all here. Like, I remember, like that homeless said,
we're all here for a reason.
we're all
Yeah.
here for a reason. We're all playing our part, you know. And man, the fact I've always wanted to do a podcast. And
Yeah, man. This is
I
sick.
did.
hey, you have a seat here.
This is sick.
You both can. Maybe
Yeah.
one day I will just sit home. You guys
Yeah.
come here and do the podcast.
Rescue takeover.
Nah, this podcast wouldn't be.
Yeah, man.
It wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for you.
It's got your face on it.
You
for
got your
sure,
face
man.
on it. Yeah.
I saw you. I saw you in public. I was like, I know him. I've seen him before.
All right. I think we're taking too much time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Really, thank you.
man, thank you.
It's from my bottom of my heart. I'm not good at giving prizes too, as much as I want to. And if anything I can do in like sharing or any kind of a link, if you want me to share to people so that they can donate to the charity, I would very much love to do that. And thank you for being here, and see you next week. See you
Sampai
next
jumpa
week.
lagi.
Sampai jumpa lagi.
Terima kasih.
Inshallah.
Please subscribe. Please subscribe.
Yeah. Subscribe. Click the link below. Comment. Like. Share.
And let us know if you want to see us here again for the part 2.